Hello.
Oh, hello.
I'm Sammi.
And I'm Steve.
And you're listening to Rose Plate Special, the most dramatic, thunderingest, downingest, underingest recap podcast of The Bachelorette ever.
Ever. I don't know why underingest bothered me. It's
I was like
unclear.
workshopping it. Listen, everyone. My brain has been in vacation mode. I literally just got home 3 hours ago.
She did.
And in that time, I finished The Bachelorette because I watched some of it on vacation and then some of it when I got home. And then did a city committee meeting, and then played pinball and ate chicken tenders.
It's all true.
Yeah. So
And here I was like, I mean, if anybody doesn't think that I'm a patient and generous soul, can you believe I waited a whole extra like 10 minutes just so
Yeah.
Sammi could eat chicken tenders?
Yeah, I know. Well, because you
Wow.
were eating, and then I was like, well, I want to eat something too. I'm jealous.
I need tendies.
It was funny. Tuck goes, "Why did you text the word tendies to him?" I said, "Yeah," and he
Yeah.
goes, "Well, I wouldn't know what that meant." I said, "We both know what tendies means."
We know what tendies are.
I said, "Don't worry about that. We know what tendies means."
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, so I'm on like vacation brain, but I was like driving home. I mostly listened to an audiobook written by someone who lives near me. And so like
Ooh.
all the and it's like a rom-com, like a cute summer read, like it's really nice. And it's called Just for the Summer. And it's cute. She actually like puts the phone number to like a local cupcake place in the book
Oh.
as like
Wait.
someone's phone number, so you call it and it's like a cupcake.
It's like an actual cupcake store.
Yeah, it's an actual cupcake place in town. And I was like listening to it, and then I'm like, my town mentioned. She mentioned my town. That's very exciting for me. And anyway, so that's what I listened to most of the time, and it was very fun. But then I also was like, ooh, what should our, because I never think of like the superlatives beforehand, but I was like,
Mhm.
because I was like, well, one of them should be thunder down underingest. And then I was like, what if I just split that up into 3? So
Possibly one of your most brilliant moves.
that's the only one that I've ever thought of ahead of time. I'm pretty sure. I also have good news besides the fact that I picked about 20 pounds of cherries, which is just good news for anyone
That
who
is good
gets
news.
cherry jam from me.
Mhm.
Is that yesterday I did not let vacation deter me from checking my inbox and making
Mm.
sure I got my fall Jilly Box invite. And you bet your ass I
Ooh,
did.
'cause your Jilly's like number one, like you're her ride or
Apparently,
die at this point.
apparently, yeah, it's gonna start getting added to my
I
business
wonder if
expenses.
yeah, it probably should be.
It
Do you
should
think
be.
anybody has like a
I'm bad at
longer
bookkeeping. What'd you
do you
say?
think I said, do you think anybody has a longer Jilly streak than you at this point?
Yeah, I'm sure some people have a longer Jilly streak than me, because there are people who got in on the ground floor and they're just like
Mhm.
automatic subscribers. They don't have to get notified to opt in. They're just
Yeah.
like opted in automatically, which there, as far as I know, are no slots for that right now. So
Mhm.
you just have to be subscribed, and then they randomly pick you. But I feel like it's kind of like a Packer season ticket situation,
Yeah.
where I feel like I'm pretty high up on the list.
Yeah, you're kinda grandfathered in at this point,
I
like
mean, I think that's a problematic term, but yes.
I didn't know it was, I just thought about it because you're older? I don't is that
No,
what it
it doesn't mean that.
it doesn't mean that? I thought it was
No,
just like old stuff. Okay.
no.
Did not know that.
We don't have to get into it if you don't want to, but
No,
no,
that's
yeah,
fine.
you're
It's
well, there's so many terms that are problematic. How are you supposed to know them all?
I
But
I
I think
I ask you usually. And then you
and I just go, "That's bad,"
bad one,
for
won't use that
reasons,
one.
yeah.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, so anyway, yes, I think at this point, I mean, I must be one of Jilly's favorites, but she hasn't made it known to me.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, if you're just tuning into this Bachelor podcast for the very first time, you're like, "I'm gonna
Yes.
kick the tires on this one, see
Yeah,
if
and you're
it's
like,
for me."
what are you 2 talking about? Why
And
aren't you just
well,
get started with the episode?"
listen, no, there's one former Bachelor Nation person with a subscription box that happens to, she's from Canada, I think.
Yeah.
And
She is from Canada.
yeah, so I want that as a modifier too.
Mhm.
And she has a very select few group of people that she allows to have her beautiful, expensive
It's very
subscription
expensive,
box.
yeah.
And we are the only podcast that I know of at this moment that
That covers
is
Jilly boxes.
fully dedicated. That's how into The Bachelor we are. So
Yeah.
take that.
Yeah, that's true. There could be another one, but I don't know about them, so they don't exist. That's I object impermanence or whatever. So, so here's an update from the summer Jilly box also. The weekender bag I've already used on 2 trips in the last
Mhm.
month. And we're planning on taking another trip in a few weeks, and I will be using it there too. It's like perfect because I hated bringing 2 suitcases. Like, I would bring a suitcase for, like, clothes and stuff and then a suitcase for toiletries, and I just hated putting them in a suitcase. And it's so nice to have, like, a leather weekender bag, and then that's where all my toiletries go, and, like, that's perfect. Because listen, it takes a lot to look semi-acceptable. And then, I got the add-on of a black and white camera, and I brought it with me on the trip, and I took some photos. I think I took about 15 photos of the 36 that I have. So, once those are used up, I will develop them and I will report back. But I went on a ferry and I
Mhm.
took pictures with it and took pictures of like random signs and my cherry picking and whatever. Just try to be aesthetic with it. So those
Okay.
are 2 of the things that I've used the most from the last chili box, plus like the perfume, because it's very summer beachy smelling. So I've been using that. Um, this next one I think is supposed to be kind of cozy. I can't remember. I think it's supposed to be cozy.
Mm.
And I did buy an add-on, and I'm gonna literally forget when it comes. I'm gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I bought this."
It's my
But I bought
favorite
it.
part where
Yeah,
you're like, "Oh, I forgot I asked for
I did
this."
that for myself. I'm so nice.
Yeah, it's great.
But I bought a candle because I just like I'm like, if you know me, I love
The
candles.
lady loves
So
candles.
yes, I'm really excited. So anyway, that's the exciting news up at the top is we are gonna get the fall Jilly box. So when that comes, we will premiere it here, and you'll get to see it first. Um, but let's get to Melbourne because there are
Oh,
15 men
let's.
left. And, Spencer, do you think Spencer has golden retriever energy? Jen says Spencer has golden retriever energy.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if I trust Jen's taste in men or ability to identify what's good and what's not. And I think the wheels are coming off at this point. So I don't know.
Wow. I think Spencer has Jack Russell energy.
Yeah, that's the
Mhm.
thing is like he's some sort of dog, but I don't think he's a golden retriever.
No, I think
No,
he's a
this.
Jack Russell, which I mean, listen,
Yeah,
my dog is basically like a big Jack Russell. I have
yeah.
nothing against Jack Russells, but I think
He's
that that's
smart
his
but
energy.
yippy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I wouldn't say golden retriever energy. I'm
No,
trying to think of
no,
any guy on this season has golden retriever energy.
no.
No, I
I
don't
don't
think
think so.
so. But that's fine. You don't need golden retriever energy. But Spencer is looking for peace in the house. He wants everyone to set their differences aside. And Devin's like, "Oh, well, some people are hoping, they've got something real with Jen, but I know that what I have is real. So
Hmm.
everybody else can just,
Yeah.
F
Piss
off or
off.
whatever." Yeah.
Yeah.
But Spencer also gets kind of a thrill date.
Hmm.
The date card says, "Can our love take us higher?" And they're going in a helicopter, and they go to the 12 apostles, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um and I think that's a cool date. I would like that. I'm a little tentative about helicopters. I'm actually like feel like I'd be more comfortable jumping out of a plane than flying in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say just because the helicopter to me doesn't seem like it should work. It just feels naturally dangerous to me. I'm like,
Well,
why isn't
they
this
they
should
get
be
in accidents a
spinning
lot.
uncontrollably? Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. It's
Oh, I forgot.
you
I
were in a helicopter accident?
no. I heard this story on TikTok. Well, actually 2 different stories. this was wild. But one of them was about this lady who was like a skydiver. She did like skydiving regularly, and her parachute malfunctioned, but it was like a really specific like part of the equipment on the parachute. It's like these connectors that keep everything together, and the only way you would know that that's like the most important part about like keeping a parachute together is if
Mhm.
you also regularly went skydiving. And it was like her husband tried to kill her by like undoing these things in her parachute because like her main parachute didn't work, and then she tried the
Mhm.
backup one and it didn't work either, and she fell 4,000 feet or something like that and still lived,
What?
which is
How
wild.
do you live?
I don't
Wouldn't you
know,
just make, you know,
but
like
she was in
in
like Australia. I think she was Australian, which is
I
just
would
there you go, there's the tie-in.
I think like I would assume it
Let me
would
see if
do
I
like
can
a
find her
Looney
name.
Tunes thing, like where you know, like Wile E. Coyote falls and then he just makes the imprint in the ground. Like, how do you survive that?
I don't know. Hold on, let me see. Like, I'm serious. Then there was like another person whose parachute got sabotaged, and it was like less sophisticated by like the other woman. Like she and like her boyfriend or
What?
husband or something. We used to go skydiving together, and then he was having like an affair with this other lady, and then she sabotaged like the wife or
Oh
girlfriend's
my
like
god, is this a salacious murder podcast now? Is that
no, but I was like, "Whoa, like that's so wild." Okay, yeah, this is the lady. Okay. Um this is so I'm trying to find the name. Okay, no, that's the other woman.
I just need to know if she's a cartoon
Victoria?
coyote or not.
Yeah.
That's
Hold on. Okay, so this is from the BBC. I'll try to remember to add this. I mean, this is so random. But yeah, okay. Yes. Okay, so Victoria Cilliers, I think that's how you would pronounce her last name, or
Mhm.
Killiers, I'm not sure. This was in 2015. She survived a 4,000-foot fall. I don't know how she did it. Um, but yeah, so her husband did it. He sabotaged the parachute, and before that, he had caused a gas leak at the house. He tried to kill her with a gas
Ooh.
leak, and it didn't work. So then he sabotaged her parachute.
Wow. So
Yeah.
he's like really committed. Like,
Yes.
I feel like if the gas leak
It
didn't
was like the
work,
same day or the day after or something
oh
like
come
that. I mean,
on.
it was like, well, if I that didn't get her, I'm gonna get her this way. Like it
Thi
was really fast.
okay, so this really is like a Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote type situation, like or like his wife is secretly Mr. Bean or
I don't know, it's really I mean, well, I mean, good for her that she's like the road
Yeah,
runner. I mean, for real, because
yeah.
yeah, it's just it was such a shocking story. I like couldn't believe it. And then when I was looking up this story to find out more information,
Mhm,
um then I found that other story about like this other woman who like sabotaged someone's, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing. And basically the consensus was like the most dangerous part of parachuting is
mhm.
like other people screwing with the equipment, you know? And I'm like,
That makes
wow,
sense.
that actually makes me feel like safer in a way.
Mhm.
But yeah, I couldn't anyway. Really surprising stuff. Anyway, so
Wow.
I would still, even with those stories, I feel like I would rather jump out of a plane than go in a helicopter. But I mean, I might do
Yeah,
both. I don't know.
but like if you have a gas leak the day before, maybe think about like, you know, kinda dialing it back a little bit because clearly like
Yeah.
your luck's not trending in the right
Yeah.
direction.
It says, yeah, the article says just days earlier, Cilliers had caused a gas leak at their home by
Oh my
loosening a gas
gosh.
valve fitting in a kitchen cupboard. Yeah. I mean, it's like, just divorce her. Hello.
Yeah, that seems a
That's
lot
an
easier.
option.
Why
Yeah.
would we not do that? Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, he got put away for a long time.
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a good lesson for anyone, you know, if you're unhappy in a relationship, you can just not be in it, which usually works out better than doing actual crimes.
Yeah, and that well, and we'll get to that with the group date because that's some advice that some um sister bachelorettes gave, you know. So,
Mm.
yeah. Uh okay, wait. Now I want to see cuz this is an old one. I thought he was put away for a long time. Now I want to make sure. Yes, for life. Yeah, he was
Good.
jailed for life. He was also a sergeant. Oh, he's British. I thought it was in Australia. Okay, it's in the UK. Sorry. Okay, maybe the other one was. I don't know.
We call that
Um,
Australia North.
not so down under. Just the regular up. Okay, so so Spencer gets this thrill date. Then we go to the men. Devin is kind of being a kiss ass. But the thing is, he's still playing it so that he's focused on Jen. And so
Mhm.
he's not screwing himself over the way that the other men are doing by reacting to him, and they're not seeing it.
Yep.
And Thomas N is starting to get into the danger zone. Like and he already kind of was. It's like every time he gets irritated, I'm like, you got to pull that back because you're going to
Yeah.
get sent home. There's like no way you're going to last if you keep getting like agitated by him. You
Mhm.
just got to shut him out, pretend he doesn't exist, which is
Yeah, well
something like Jonathan says later in the episode. Like, I'm just here for Jen. Like,
mhm.
whatever. This is all noise. Who cares?
Yeah, and I think he thinks that he has some sort of, I don't know, like, immunity or standing because everyone in the house has to know that, uh, Sam N is like a leader in terms of, like, for Jen's affection, so I think
Sam
Thomas think
M,
Sam
right?
M, yeah,
Sam
not did I
M.
say M or
Yeah,
N? Whatever.
I've been just saying in my notes, I've been saying Ginger Sam and the Love Virgin.
Yeah, there's the love version, and then there's the one that the internet keeps
We need
calling Chet
Tyler at home.
Hanks. Yeah. Chet Hanks slash Tyler at home.
That's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Credit to
my
the internet
god.
for that one. But yeah,
That's a
as soon
good
as I read
one.
that in a tweet, I was just like, I can't unsee. That's all he
Yeah,
is.
Chet Hanks, yeah.
Mhm.
He
Uh,
he bothers me,
oh,
and
yeah.
not
I
in a way
mean,
that he would like. He just bothers me.
it's
I'm
great. Like,
bothered.
this is the quality of the men on this season where it's like, "Oh, no, the more I get to know you, the less I like." That's just
Yeah,
like everyone
I
basically.
mean, there's like a few that I like. It's the
Yeah.
number is small. But it's been consistent, so
Yeah.
I'm happy so far.
But anyways,
But
Thomas
yeah.
is, like, aligned with him,
Yeah.
so he feels like, he can talk smack and he can have these big reactions, and he's trying to hang with the big boys, but it's like, no, that's just like your best friend is 6'5" with huge muscles, like,
Yeah.
you could still get beat up, buddy, like,
Yeah, it's
it's
bad,
not gonna
it's
save you
bad. Yeah, he's
ultimately.
like, "Yeah, I got a problem with you too. I'm gonna
Mhm.
kick your ass." And I'm like, "Let's just calm down."
Let's calm it
Let's just
down,
not
pal.
do any of that. So yeah, so they're both getting into the danger zone for sure. Spencer has been, yeah, playing his own game, like staying in his own lane too, outside of like, he's like, we need to focus on Jen, and like, but
Mhm.
that's really his lane. And on this one-on-one date, I think he did a good job. He had like a good vulnerable moment where he talked about like getting engaged and then almost getting married and then finding out his like bride to be was cheating on him and like how he felt so betrayed by that, but she did him a favor by walking away. I
Mhm.
did not get that favor. And that's arguably worse. But yeah, I totally empathize with that, and how much you learn about yourself when you go through something like that. You do learn
Mhm.
a lot about yourself, and I do think it makes you more discerning and more ready for other things down the road, as long as like you don't just go, well, everyone's like that and everyone's out to get me. As long as you don't like, go into that hole, then like I do agree with him. Like I feel I felt similarly coming out of like my old relationship. So I don't know. I related a lot to his story, and I
Mhm.
I think he's very likable. I don't think he has golden retriever energy. I just
No.
don't. But I think he's very likable, and I thought the rose was kind of like a given with him.
Mhm. Oh,
So
totally.
I mean, I like Spencer. I like him more than I did at the beginning. So that's one person who's like kind of growing on me. Like I'm not like wow or anything, but I'm like he's nice. Like he seems nice and cool. I don't know. He seems normal. You don't like Spencer?
He's fine. He's
Yeah, he's
fine.
just fine. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
is this the
excited.
best we can do so far, Bachelor? Come
I don't think
on.
so. But yeah, of course there's fireworks and kissing and all that
All the good, yeah,
stuff.
the usual, the
Yeah.
usual.
And then I thought it was interesting because this week instead of two one-on-ones, there's like a one-on-one, a big group date, and a small group date.
Mhm.
So that was kind of interesting. And then they go to this like theater, and then the hint is like a love down under. And this is what I like about this group date. They take a Vegas show with Australian guys and bring them back to Australia
Yep.
to
Bring
teach
them
everyone.
back. Bring
And
them
I was
back.
like, okay, sure, why not? And so they're like, okay, we're gonna train you to like do these like strip tease dances and whatever. And I mean, I have to say, like that dolphin thing, I'm like, everybody's trying it. That would take me out. Like I would just
Oh, and most of them had it at like 60% on their first
I was
try. And I was
so
like,
impressed.
"Excuse me?"
Yeah, they were just like they just like casually did it. And I was like,
Oh my god.
I would
No.
need like mats and you holding me and like lots
It
of training wheels before I could get there. And they all did like a good job.
yeah.
I was like really impressed.
If I did that and somebody videotaped it, you could play it back in slow motion, watch both of my wrists break, watch my spine go out of alignment, and then watch my kneecap shatter as they hit the ground. Like, I would
Yeah.
not be able to do that at
I
all.
mean, like, yeah, like I can't even be cynical about this group date because I was legitimately impressed with most of the men. Like, even if they weren't that good, they
Yeah.
all really tried. Well, all but one, but we'll get to that. But they all really tried, and like what some of them lacked in like technical ability, they did make up for in like I'm just going to go full out. And I was
Yeah.
like that was kind of cool. Like
Honestly,
I was
like,
very impressed with all of them.
the one thing you can say about this season is every single man on this season of The Bachelor has potential to be a male stripper. Like, just
Yes. Well, at
real
least
good.
everyone on this group date for sure.
Yeah.
Like the
Oh, for
8 or
sure.
whatever that went, they
Just
all well, all but one.
exactly.
Asterisk, all but one have
Y'all
potential.
can't win this season, but if you band together at the end, you can
Yeah.
probably get a Vegas show
That
going.
would be quite an interesting touring show for them to
Yeah.
do.
I mean,
Sometimes
Vince
they take
from the
Bachelor on
Jersey
the road.
Shore, the
Mhm.
Keto Guido, he got his own little striptease in Vegas. Come
Yeah.
on. Like,
Yeah.
why
So,
why not? Why not?
yeah, what okay, I mean, I think and do you think Jonathan was the one who should have won it all? Cuz
Yeah,
I
he
think
did
so.
yeah, he did pretty exceptional,
I
I
was
think.
pretty happy. I mean, Jonathan is, like, definitely, like, way up there for me with Dylan, like, those 2 are still my favorites,
Mhm.
and I think they both did a good job. I think they both committed and did a good job. And they were 2 of the best, and I was like, if you give it to either Sam, I'm gonna be
No
so
Sam's.
pissed,
No
and I was
Sam's.
like, give it to Jonathan,"
I'm
and they
sorry,
were like,
don't you mean
"Jonathan."
Chef Flustered?
That didn't even make sense.
And then what are all I'm trying to remember all their names, like the CEO and Chef
The
Flustered
CE makes you owe.
makes you oh, and then there's like
That was a good one.
Trouser Snake and Fire Boy, and I don't
Yeah, I
there's
don't
a lot
know.
of things going
Yeah,
on.
I don't know. But I thought I thought the firefighter thing, I mean, that's always a classic. That's like
Yeah, can't
easy.
go wrong.
You can't go wrong. Um, yeah, it was like even, you know, like to Devin's credit, I think he did a good job like being entertaining
Yeah.
despite not feeling like he had the ability to do it.
Mhm.
And so like he even put himself out there. So okay, so let's ask the big question. Do you think Sam and the Love Virgins strategy was successful number 1 and genuine number 2?
I think it was successful because he ends the night with a rose.
Mhm.
But I also think it was super cringy and, was it genuine? Maybe?
You mean he ends, like, the episode with a rose. He did
Yeah,
get a
he
rose
has
after the
no,
group
no,
date,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, not after the group date, but I mean, he didn't get cut. I'd say
Right.
that's the goal is survival at this point.
Mhm.
It was super cringy, super lame, coming from a real doofus place of deep insecurity, which was like further emphasized by because I always have this thought on this show. I'm like, is it this thing or is the guy an idiot? And often it's hard to tell. But here it's like, gosh, he's just like deeply insecure and so lame. And But I
So I
thought,
have yet to listen to his podcast. I will gather more insight by next week. But
oof,
like I said, I spent my vacation mostly listening to this rom-com, so I'm very
yeah,
sorry.
that's fine. That's fine. But so the thing that actually drove me nuts is on multiple occasions after this, he talks about like he just backtracks immediately. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna do something that lame, you have to commit. Okay. Devin, terrible, but deeply committed. Okay. He's not
Yes.
backing down. Okay.
Mm-mm. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. This is what I think. If I was uh Sam, the Love Virgin's manager, coach, producer, whatever, my advice to him would be, if you want a fighting chance, you
Mm-hmm.
can't just give her nothing. And now some could argue he gave her more than most of the men because he's bearing his soul instead of his body and whatnot. But if he felt, I don't know if it was like self-consciousness, not wanting to do certain things that he thought his family wasn't going to like. Like there could be a lot of options because he did mention, like, oh, what if I'm the like only like the first Persian stripper that did this or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, I'm sure there are other people who've done it before or whatever, but but there could be like a cultural familial thing that he was tentative about doing that and wanted to try to find like a classy way around that, and I totally get that. Like, but I think what he could have done is like done a little something, like, do what you're comfortable with, hint a
Mm-hmm.
little, and then you could close by saying kind of similar to what he said, but like, you know, listen, Jen, I'm a love virgin. This stuff is serious to me. I want to bear my body the same time I'm bearing my soul, or I want to bear my soul before I bear my body, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he could have done it in a way that was like more enticing and still in the spirit of what all the other men were doing, and
Mm-hmm.
not compromised if he felt like morally opposed to it or something. And I don't know if that's true. I don't know if he really felt that way. I'm just saying, if that was part of his consideration, I think he could have strategized in a way that made that more interesting. And who was it who was it s well, Sydney had that really bad talent show thing, but, there's some people who choose to do that stuff, like, really early,
Yeah.
and he said, like, what did he say? Like, starting to fall in love. We need to make a diagram still,
Yeah. We still got to make our flow
like,
chart for The
starting to
Bachelor.
fall in love, falling in love,
Here's like
in
we
love,
need to have
love.
like a series where it's like animated TikTok videos where we describe weird niche things
Yeah,
from The Bachelor that
yeah,
the rest of humanity would not understand because
yeah,
no one else in the universe is going through these essential stages of
yeah.
starting to fall in love,
Which
falling
is
in love.
which is slightly after, cause he said, like, starting to fall in love, and that's, like, slightly after the, like, "I like you,"
Yeah.
I'm s
Where does falling for you come in and like that whole thing
yeah, I
without
think
the
that's,
love?
like, falling in love. Probably falling for you comes before falling in love, I would
Yeah.
assume. Um, Bless you.
I'm
Um
sneezing on stream. Ugh.
I think falling for you would probably come before falling in love. That would be my assumption,
Okay, we
but
gotta write this all
I
out.
don't
This is
know. We gotta Yeah, it's like you gotta gauge it. I'm sure someone has done something similar to this before because it's like a pretty
yeah.
common progression, but it's like it when you feel it. And then you have people like Casey who come in and just say weird shit like guard and protect your heart. And then you're like, well, where does that go on the list?
Yeah, or this whole, like, ferocious love thing that
Yeah,
we're committed to
reckless
on this
love.
season.
And then
Reckless
yeah,
love.
flustered, bothered. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's
"You
just
really bother me."
Yeah,
Like, he says that, it's like, that's not what that
I hate
means.
him so much. I hate him
Yeah.
so much. I
"He
hate him.
bothers me, but not in the way
He's
that's
making me
horny."
side with Devin, and that's weird. But
Oh, I was doing the same thing
yeah,
throughout
I'm
this
like,
whole episode.
this guy, Devin
I
is
know.
right on. Like, this guy sucks. Like,
It's like,
and I'm not that I'm like the world's biggest fan of Devin, but I'm like, I
no.
understand where he's coming from because Sam is so fake. He's so fake. Well, and Jen even knows it. She's just not realizing it. We'll get to that because I have a note on that. Anyway, not to get
Yeah.
too off track. Okay.
I
I'm getting worse.
can't deal
I'm
with
getting
it. Yeah.
bothered. Yeah. I'm
And
just absorbing.
again, I mean, Devin is basically at this point, it's like I'm siding with Spike from Gremlins because
Yeah.
the guy yelling at him is Jamie Kennedy in Malibu's Most Wanted. If you're under the age of 35, Google that.
You might miss some of those references, but that's okay. They're not important anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, most were confident. The Love Virgin, I think, had a bad strategy. I thought Jonathan was clearly the best one. Okay, those were my cliff notes. At the end of all of this, Devin opens up about being self-conscious of his body, and I thought it was like an endearing story. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, like I just didn't know if I was going to feel comfortable doing that." And he said, like, "Thank you for making me feel like I can do that, and just because I like don't have abs, like that it's still." And I was like, "That's sweet." Like I don't know, I was like, "That's endearing." That's like
I
I
think he
can't
should
be
have
a
taken it
jerk about
further.
it.
Like I enjoyed that he was open about that.
Yeah.
Even if it was, in my head cynically, I'm like, it's probably a little performative just because
I
he knew it was
don't
a
know.
good
I'm not
story.
sure.
What? But
Hard
that's
to
the
say.
line, right? It's like it's probably a sincere truth that he has kind of drummed up specifically.
But he's like, "This is a good moment for that."
This is a good
But they
moment for
also
that.
do
Yeah.
like, producers do that.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
line
sure.
people up for
Totally.
that, so
Totally.
it's not
Totally.
just him. It's like
Yeah.
it's production lining someone up for a story like that to share
Yeah.
that at the right time.
I liked his
Um,
banana hammock. I thought that was great. Like
yeah.
committed.
I think yeah.
Uh, and he was the only person who wore a banana hammock, which is, in my mind, essential to the Thunder Down Under like
Yeah.
wardrobe. Which, as a side note, one time I was leaving for an international flight from the great city of Milwaukee,
Uh-huh.
and there was all these extremely tall, beefy men, and I thought, are these like, is it sports? Are they football players? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? And they all had like like the really big suitcases, like the
Yeah.
really big ones that are like
Sure.
4 feet tall and like really wide.
Yeah,
They each
kinda
had
like
like,
walking wardrobes, yeah.
yes, they each
Mhm.
had like two of those. And I was like, my God, what is, and then some lady in front of us she was like, that's the Thunder from Down Under. I was at the show last night. I was like,
No
what?
way!
But then the suitcases became even more mysterious. How many little thongs do you need for one show? It's just,
I think it's mostly, like, the hats and the other props that get
it's
removed,
probably
and
like
they
the hats.
probably have
Yeah.
a lot of shirts because
Yeah.
they are ripping them all the
They're
time.
constantly ripping.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
need
right.
a
That's a good
lot of
point.
shirts. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I
That
makes
makes
perfect
sense.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Um,
But anyways,
so
banana hammock good, but I would have, if I were Devin, as a
Uh-huh.
man who also has a body, like my body is just like it's bones, and then it's pasty skin with a thin, sad layer of uneven fat, and I'm fine with it. But like it is not what one would call, like a traditionally,
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you
I
just really painted quite the
it
visual.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Sorry.
if you like left the Michelin Man on a deserted island like Castaway, and then he just kind of withered away a little bit. That's me.
Okay.
Um, ladies. No. So anyways, what I would have done is I would have used my pasty canvas, and I would have taken like some production makeup and just like had them draw like fake
Draw
abs
abs.
on me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like,
thought that would have been
get 'em
hilarious.
airbrushed. Yeah,
Yeah, oh
yeah,
totally. Just airbrush them on.
yeah.
Like that would have just heightened it, man. If
Mhm.
you are surrounded by these beefy muscle men who can actually do the dolphin dance stripper thing, which is
Wild.
cool. Like
Yeah.
you have to go full drag, basically. Like you just got to go
Yeah. I think
nuts.
that's so true. Yeah, he could have gone farther, and he has the personality to do it, but here's the thing. I mean, even without going that far, what did they say about Devin? What did those Australian bachelorettes say about Devin? What did they say he has? Do you remember?
I don't remember. So they didn't say "Arnar" when he like came over.
No, they said he had BDE. And who else
BDE.
has BDE? Who's like basically the grandfather of BDE that
Ooh,
brought that into the mainstream?
I actually don't know the answer to this. Do
Pete
tell.
Davidson,
Oh, Pete Davidson.
because Ariana
That's
Grande said that
right.
about him.
And everybody, yeah, okay, that's why. Okay, because
Yes.
I'd heard, I didn't know the origin of the phrase, but I
I
did
mean,
associate it
it's
with.
not necessarily the origin of the phrase,
No,
but
no,
it was, like,
no.
very popularized
Yeah,
when she said that about Pete Davidson, then it was, like, big dick energy summer, like, it's Brat summer right
sure,
now, it was,
sure.
like, big dick
She's the one
energy
who
summer.
took that phrase and basically brought it to mainstream. That makes sense
Yes.
because everybody looks at Pete Davidson. You're like, I don't.
How does he do it?
Is he that
Big dick
funny?
energy.
Does he
Yeah.
save all his good jokes for Ariana Grande and not for SNL? Is that how it works? I don't know.
Okay, I will say Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is one of my favorite horror movies to come out in the last like 10 years. So
Do you think Pete Davidson is an essential component of that?
no. Well, I mean, he kind of is. He's like the catalyst, I guess.
Yeah.
He's the catalyst of the movie, but he's not. Yeah, everybody else is better.
But
But
if I replace him with
commitment.
another SNL alum, like if I replace him with Horatio Sands, does it? Well, that's not a
Well,
good example.
we're both like
Chris Kattan, what's he doing?
I will say, I mean, I think he had the right, like, my family is rich vibes that needed to be there. You
Yeah.
need someone who gives off my family is rich vibes.
Yeah.
And
And he can do that.
yeah,
And I don't think Chris Kattan does that.
no,
No.
I think maybe Andy Samberg could have done it.
Andy
but
Samberg. There you go. Like a young Andy Samberg. You
yeah,
could have gone with that.
yeah, but I think he's a little too corny
Mhm.
and not scuzzy enough.
Yeah, that's
You know
fair
what I mean?
too.
Okay,
Sure,
anyway.
sure.
Go
No,
see Bodies, Bodies, Bodies if you haven't. I think everybody should see that, especially because that one New York Times reviewer who called it a 90-minute advertisement for cleavage when there was no cleavage in the movie, and it's a very good movie, and it's why would you reduce it to that? And then
Yeah.
you just talk about how great Jennifer's Body is, which is a great movie, but Bodies,
Yeah.
Bodies, Bodies, I think is arguably
A
funnier.
90-minute advertisement for cleavage?
Yeah.
You don't need to advertise
Because
that. It's
Amanda
fine.
Stenberg has boobs
Oh.
and
Who
wears
knew?
clothes. And they were like, "Are you serious? Did you not hear about this? This is like 2-year-old beef at this
No,
point."
this is I just think it's funny because I'm like, I was like running through my head. I'm like, I don't think anybody like they're in like t-shirts, maybe?
Yeah,
Like
they're just wearing shirts. They're just wearing
in
regular
clothes?
shirts.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to get so off track, but this was the this is like what? How old is this beef? 2 or 3 years old? When did Bodies,
Yeah, it's
Bodies,
a
Bodies?
couple
I think it
years
was
old.
2022, summer 2022, maybe. So basically, there was this whole thing. I was excited to see the movie. I was very ready to go see it in the theaters. I was really looking forward to it. And then I heard this like New York Times review that called it like a 90-minute advertisement for cleavage. And then Amanda Stenberg decided to message the reviewer on like Instagram and said something to the effect of, and I'm probably, this is a paraphrase, but it was something like, maybe if you spent less time looking at my boobs, you would actually like watch the movie and enjoy it. And then like, and it was like winky face, like, tongue out emoji, whatever. And then this reviewer came to like TikTok and maybe Instagram. Maybe it was Instagram first. I don't know. I know it was on TikTok and was like all like white woman tears, like, oh, I was victimized. I was personally victimized by Amanda Stenberg because they called me out for saying it was a 90-minute advertisement for cleavage.
Okay, this is the twist I didn't expect. I didn't expect a woman. I thought it was just like some scuzz dude.
No,
like,
it's a white woman whose daddy worked for the New York Times, nepo baby, and talked about how she was legitimately like she had a legitimate right to write for the New York Times because of this, that, and the other thing, and then just failed to mention, but my daddy works there also.
yeah,
and he got me a job,
Yeah, that's not fair. Come
yeah,
on.
definitely nepo baby vibes. And then people started to like dig out her other reviews for things where it was like, ooh, that was kind of problematic. Oh, that wasn't a great choice. And then she kind of like disappeared for a while, but she still has a job. So that's why cancel culture isn't real. But that just that was the most annoying review I've ever read in my life. And then like in that same breath, in that same week, she had talked about how great Jennifer's Body was, and like just no awareness of how weird it is to dog on Bodies, 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 and then talk about how great Jennifer's Body was. Just like no idea. Anyway, these are some of my personal interests. If you want to know more about things like that, maybe someday I'll revive Ice Cream Sunday and we'll talk more about horror movies, because I have lots of feelings about horror movies. So let's get back into the thing you're here to listen to us talk about, which is anything we want. So Devin really hates Ginger Sam, and so do I. And he thinks Sam is fake as hell, and so do I.
Yeah.
And
Nobody
then
talks like that for real.
no, and so here's where it comes. So like So Ginger Sam gets one-on-one time. Wait, Chet Hanks gets one-on-one time with Jenn, and she's like, oh, like Colonel Flustered. Wait, that would make too much sense. Chef Flustered, whatever. And he's like, well, she's like, well, like, what did she say? You don't get flustered on me or whatever. He goes, and he's like, well, you bother me. And he said it again. And
Bother
she
me.
goes, what movie did you get that from? And she's going to ignore that instinct, but that was the right question to ask because that feels like rehearsed.
Yeah,
And
it
so when
does.
she says, what movie did you get that from? I'm like, yes, you're asking the right questions.
Meanwhile, after she asked that, I'm yelling at the TV screen, one that needs a revision on the script.
Yeah, you bother me. Like, listen, I'm almost done with this rom-com book. It's very cute and good, and I like it, and the writing's good.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't say, you bother me.
Yeah, that's not part of When Harry Met Sally that
No,
I know
not
of.
cute. Not
No.
cute.
No.
Yeah, exactly. No Sleepless in Seattle here. No, You've Got Mail. That's probably my favorite.
You've got pale.
It is. I think it's very good. Anyway,
I like it conceptually because just the idea of like a small family friendly bookstore that it's like, yeah, what if you like married Jeff Bezos? Like,
well, okay. I wrote a grad school paper on it. So
about marrying Jeff Bezos?
no, about You've Got Mail. Because that was
It's
in my
fun. I just
that was
like
in
watching people in the 90s use the computer. Like that's one of my
that was
favorite
in
things in a
the
movie.
What is the Internet class.
Oh yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good one.
Oh god, that was one of my favorite classes. And we watched You've Got Mail, The Net, and War Games, and we had to
Oh.
pick what we wrote about. And I used that joke, the on the internet nobody knows you're a dog, New Yorker cartoon. So I did the on the internet nobody knows you're a fox. And I was like, that's
Got it.
the best title I wrote probably in my grad school career. And I got to write about, You've Got Mail. And then I just really became endeared to it. I was like, wow, it is really a product of the time. It is such a time capsule. It's
Mm-hmm.
so special that we have it. And the writing's really good.
Yeah,
So
it's I don't know. Movies like
saying.
that are amazing. Same thing with The Net too. Like there's this whole plot point that centers around like her going online to like order pizza and it
Yeah.
is
And
like
we
a
did not think
catastrophic
that was
event.
that was not a thing when that
No.
movie came out.
It's just amazing. It's like watching man discover fire or like the beginning of 2001 A Space Odyssey. It's just like
So just like, okay, so there's that new Colleen Hoover movie coming out, right? And I mean, basically, Sam is giving me all the vibes of like the bad guy in that movie.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
spoilers. I'm just being vague. Not that, I mean, don't go see that movie and don't read that book, please.
Yeah.
But
Everybody has met a guy like him too,
yeah,
because
so yeah.
yeah, it's like your friend who continuously gets in toxic relationships and then you're like constantly like, you can do better, blah blah blah. And then they're like, "Okay, I met a new guy. I'm really excited to introduce you to him." And then it's that guy like
Yeah.
every time, every single time.
Yeah, it's like, well,
Like
he spackles the walls after he punches holes in them, so it's fine.
it's okay.
He cleans up
Yeah.
his messes.
He spackles the walls every punch.
Sorry.
No, that's it.
But but it's like Jen saying the things that she should be paying attention to, because she even says like, you're bad news, and like she's saying this stuff playfully, right? Like,
Yeah.
what movie did you get that from? You're bad news. And I'm like, those things that are automatically coming out of your mouth are the red flags that you should be paying attention to right now. This
And
guy
her
is
whole
just
story.
made of red flags.
What is her story? Because every bachelorette needs a story. And her whole story is she gets into toxic relationships with men that are bad for her and she loses herself in them.
Yeah.
And right now it's like you are horny for Chet Hanks
Mm-hmm.
and you are horny for Pete Davidson, which are both opposite ends of the spectrum of bad guys you shouldn't date. And so you have found both of them and they're your front runners currently. So maybe take a step back.
I'm just like,
it's
look
like
at
she's
these.
in
There's like
the Hannah
several
Brown school of bacheloretting right now.
There's like several normal, sweet guys on this show who have just been very even keeled and nice and focused, not involved in drama, very
No.
focused on Jen. And and haven't caused any tension, and she just seems to be ignoring them,
Yeah,
and that's
ma'am,
a
ma'am,
little
I see
frustrating.
that you have a Devin there. I was wondering if I could interest you in a Dylan instead.
Yeah.
Like,
Why perchance check out
perchance?
Dylan. He also put a lot of personality into his dance. He
Yeah,
was also by far not the best, but he made up for it because he was like really excited about it too, which I thought was cute. He was like, Jen doesn't know what's coming for her. I'm gonna do a good job. And I was like, okay, okay. Like I was like, I appreciate the spirit. I think he did a good job. But anyway, there are okay, so anyway, so she calls him bad news and he is bad news. And then there's some men who are talking about what will the rose mean to you? And these are all the men who don't stand much of a chance. And so they give him a little bit of airtime to talk about, like, this is what the rose would mean to me. And I'm like, but you're not going to be getting it because it's going to go to Devin. And then right afterwards, it went to Devin. Um, but I think he earned it.
mhm.
So I think that made sense. And I wasn't worried about Jonathan getting a rose at at the end of the episode. I knew he would still get one. So I wasn't concerned. I did not think his rose was on the line just because Devin got it. But I loved that it made both the Sams feel uneasy as it should. Um, but then this was funny. So Devin really does like to stir the pot. He's good TV, I have to say. And he really like rubbed it in because he was like, me getting this rose is a testament to the type of man that Jen wants in her
Yeah,
future. And then Sam said something back, kind of like, yeah, like me not getting it is a testament to, I don't know, whatever.
yeah, it was dumb.
He said something that like didn't 100% make sense, but it just made him sound like a passive aggressive asshole. Like Devin is grandstanding and he should not be doing that. Um but and sometimes like when a guy on the show is likable and they say that stuff, it plays a lot better. Like there are people on the show who have said very similar things to what Devin said and nobody thought twice about it because they liked the guy. That's not the case here. So he just sounds like a dick. But then Sam responding the way he does, he just sounds so childish. He's such a no, you are kind of a guy, and, like,
Yeah,
Devin has more creative insults. So, between the 2 of them, like, Sam just has rocks in his head, because he just says the same he's just like a soundboard. He just says the same shit over and over again, and Devin can pull something more original out. So, between the 2 of them, there's no battle of wits to be had because there's no wit with Sam. Um, Now we get to an interesting part of the episode because Aaron gets a call
oh,
about
yes, he does.
fighter pilot training. That's apparently he's been waiting for this call for a year and a half. And they call while he's on the show.
Of course, this always happens.
Holy do you think that's a coinky dink or do you think it's not a coinky
It's
dink?
completely contrived.
Well, I mean, because we already think that Aaron is this. So here's me, big tinfoil hat conspiracy
I love
lady.
it. I love it.
So we have already said Aaron is like this manufactured guy. There's just like nothing authentic about him, right?
Yeah.
He brought a fake book onto the show. I have this
He's an
weird
industry plant.
yes, yes,
People
yes.
always call people.
Nepo baby.
There's someone I don't like in the world of pop music. Ergo, industry plant.
Industry plant. Yeah. So, because people don't put, I mean, they would have called Britney Spears an industry plant.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
what do you think the music industry is? It's
Yeah.
people being planted. What
Yeah.
that's what they
It's like,
do.
that's what, that's what happens. Um, but yeah. So, yeah, but I do think he probably had some idea that he could get a call around that time. You know, he's like, I've been waiting a year and a half for it, but they probably did say something like, well, if it happens, it's going to be between this month and this month. So he probably had a fairly good idea that he was going to get a call, while he was on the show if he did kind of okay. And so I think this is just a theory. I have no idea. I have not read anything. Like I said, I was on vacation. Sometimes I do more deep dives and I have not done any of that. So this is just like off the top of my head. But I think he knew that. And knowing that, he went, well, let's just like go have fun. I'll do things to shake things up. Producers probably had him on the show because his brother was on the show.
Oh,
And
100%, yeah.
so, so it's just like an easier sell because I don't think they would just let someone on the show like that who
No.
potentially would get called into this training.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
also, it's worth saying too that he gets this call and then he's like, "Ah, damn, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to talk to Jen." And like the way that it is set up, I'm like, would you even, if this is your lifelong dream, as you
Yeah.
have told us, the audience, via the confessional part of
Mhm.
the interview, this is your lifelong dream. It is something you have waited a year and a half for. This is your only chance
Yeah.
to fulfill your lifelong dream. And you're like, maybe I should throw it away for a girl I've known for 5 days?
Two things come to mind. One, The Hills.
Mhm.
Lauren not going to Paris.
Ugh,
She'll
terrible.
never live that down, even though she's
Mm-mm.
extremely successful. She didn't go to Paris.
She didn't go to
Friends. She
Paris,
didn't go
yeah.
to Paris. And then the other thing I'm thinking of, this was all over my FYP, so I don't know if you heard about it. Are you familiar with Ballerina Farms?
I have no idea what that is.
Okay. Okay. Oh my God.
You gotta educate me here.
I can't believe how many roads
I
I'm
can't
taking
believe
us
you,
down.
Steve.
No, I just can't believe. I'm like, how many asides am I going to take us down in this episode? You're getting bonus feature on top of bonus feature, and we don't even have a Patreon. You're just getting this all
Yeah.
for free. Aren't you lucky? Okay.
That's right.
So here's the background on Ballerina Farms. I promise I'll tie it in. So there is a family on primarily TikTok. I don't know anything about Instagram. So if they're on TikTok, I know about them. So they're on TikTok. They have like millions of followers, and they gained popularity because they had a lot of kind of like homesteading content, like make a lot of food from scratch, and like we raise our own chickens, and we uh produce milk that is not legal. Anyway. That contains a lot of pathogens. Just saying, nutrition master student here, don't drink raw milk. Don't drink raw milk. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. That being said, but it was like a very idyllic thing, because it's like, oh my God, she's making sourdough from
Mhm.
scratch, and she's got all these kids, and like she's doing stuff every morning. It's like she's making shit from scratch. It's just like you're like, you can just buy that from the store. Like, why are you spending all the time doing that stuff? Um, and then someone like peeped the oven in the background of a video, and it's like tens of thousands of dollars. It's like a very
Is that like a
expensive
wolf
oven.
range or something?
It's called oh God, what is it called? It's AGA, um, and I don't know if it's like AGA or if it's like I thought someone pronounced it differently. Anyway, but it's spelled AGA. It's a Swedish range cooker. There's only
Okay.
like 2 people in the United States that or there's like one person in the Western United States who like knows how to hook them up. So you got to like get
Oh
someone
my gosh.
special to come and do. They're
And the
super.
raw milk chicken people have it?
Yes. Well, because the husband, this is like a really long story and I'm going to try to truncate it, but
I'm very
anyway,
invested.
if skip ahead if you and I don't know the timestamp because we're doing this right now. So the husband's family owns JetBlue.
What?
Yes, among other companies.
Oh
Like there's like some other
no.
airlines that they own and whatever. So there was a big feature in the Times, like the UK Times, and where they did a profile on Ballerina Farms on the wife who runs it. And let me get her name, Hannah Neeleman. And it's everywhere. It's all over TikTok, at least. It's all over my FYP. Everybody's talking about it. Um, because yeah, so like there was like this wave of everybody loved them, and then like everybody found out how rich they were, and then they were like, fuck them. And now it's like everybody feels bad for Hannah because the farm is called Ballerina Farms because she is a Juilliard trained dancer,
Okay.
ballerina. And so she moved out
Sponsored
to New
by
York.
JetBlue.
Yeah, well, so no, this was before she met him. So she
Okay.
was raised Mormon, and then she like broke out on her own and like went to New York, and this was her dream. And it's like kind of around,
Yeah.
move there,
Great story.
maybe time to deconstruct, and you're sprouting your wings and learning, oh, maybe this whole submit to your husband's thing is kind of bullshit. And like Juilliard's pretty cool, right? So she's like getting all this independence, and then she like meets this guy, and I can't remember how they met. It's in the profile, but the thing is, um, he kind of pulled some strings and got a seat next to her on a flight. So, like, kind of stalker vibes. So it's like he
Yeah.
knew she was on this flight. He got on the same flight as her and, like, sat right next to her and then basically, like, convinced her to, like, date. And she wanted to finish her degree, and, they, like, got engaged within, like, a month or something like that and married within 3 months and then, like, had a baby within 6 months, and she was, like, the first, like, pregnant Juilliard student in modern times.
Oh my god.
Like, whatever. So it was basically like she had this dream to be a ballerina. Now she's got, like, I don't know, 9 kids or something like that, something heinous. She got a lot of kids.
Too many.
And she there was a space at this farm where she was supposed to, like, be able to dance, and then they transformed that into, like, a kids play space or something like that. So, like, her dance studio is also gone. Um and now she takes her kids, to dance classes whenever, like, basically this whole profile was like this person was trying to get her Hannah alone, and it was like her husband was interrupting and answering for her, her kids were interrupting her and pulling her time, and it's depressing. It's and also they have, like, a housekeeper, and they have a company. They, like, sell stuff too. They
Mhm.
sell, like, I don't know, bespoke shit, whatever,
Sure.
and, like, fancy candles and and whatnot.
I was just about to say
Yeah.
fancy candles,
Yeah,
and I'm
fancy
like,
candles and what
that's the
they're
first thing that came to mind, but I don't want Sammy to interpret that as a dig at her
listen, I am
because
not in their target demo whatsoever. This is not
Mhm.
I don't rock with people who, promote raw milk, okay? But anyway, so they were doing all this stuff, like, whatever. So they have, like, a staff. They have some people who work. They have people who, like, somewhat work with the house and stuff, but they don't have, like, nannies. She's got all these kids, and she cooks everything from scratch, and they don't have nannies or, like, any childcare outside of, like, the occasional babysitter. And
Yeah.
this was the thing that, like, put a chill down my spine, is her husband said something to the effect of, "Well, there are times," and it sounded like it was, like, a regular occurrence, where she gets so exhausted that she'll spend a week in bed. And he just kinda said that in passing. And I was like, "This is a yellow
Ooh,
wallpaper situation." Right?
that's
Like,
so
to me, I'm
weird.
like, that just sounds like the yellow wallpaper. Like, that scares the ever living shit out of me. And it's not like I'm like, oh, feel bad for multimillionaires or anything like that. But it's like, that's like somebody who very much gave up their dream to
Mhm.
be with somebody. And it moved really fast. It was like, like, we're together within a month. We're having a kid within
Oof.
6 months or whatever. Like, it was just like boom, boom, boom. Mormons move fast.
Mhm.
And she went from being this, like, Juilliard trained ballerina to, like,
Oh,
a mom and
it's like a
stay-at-home
cautionary
mom and wife.
tale for Aaron.
Right. So, Aaron, what I'm saying is, yeah, like, you don't wanna turn into ballerina farms,
No,
like,
you can
you don't
have
wanna
9 kids and raw milk, and I don't
you don't
want
want it to
either
be
of
like
those things.
fighter pilot, farms, and
Yeah,
then it's like, "Well, what happened to you becoming a fighter pilot?" And he's like, "Well, I gave it all up to, like, be with this girl?" And
yeah,
so, to Jen's credit, I mean, so yeah, I was like, when he's like, "Well, yeah, maybe I'll just have to see how this date goes and whatever." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, are you goofy? Like, you're leaving. You need to leave. You
yeah,
cannot stay." And even Jen was like, basically like, "Yeah, I wasn't gonna let you stay." First of all, I don't think he had a
yeah.
super good shot. And then
No!
no, so it's like whatever. But she also was like, "I would not want to be a source of resentment for you." So that's like the healthiest thing that Jen said so far on the show. Was like, I don't want to be a sort of. So she's got some
Yeah,
awareness.
got something there.
She's got to tune into it more. Um,
Mhm. But
yeah.
I will say, Aaron's smart move, and maybe this is why he drew it out a little bit, because he got to drive a race car,
Yeah,
so
I think he did one, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like Aaron was just completely like a put on, and also I think that legitimizes them opening the door for whoever's coming in. Someone from her past or whatever is coming on the show. And if they're here to stay, I don't know. Sometimes it's like they come on and they say something and then they leave or whatever. Like, I'm so sorry I was shitty to you. Goodbye. Um, But if they're here to stay and like to date Jenn, then someone coming off the show sometimes makes it easier to open the door for someone to come on.
Yeah,
So we'll see. I don't know, but
we'll
that's
see.
another theory that I have is they probably knew because he didn't seem shocked by the call.
No.
If
Well,
I
and
was like,
he's not a real emotive chap either. He's
no,
just
he was like, well, this is the call that I've been waiting on for a year and a half, and it's like, I feel like you should feel something about that,
yeah.
but it just kind of seemed like nothing. Um, I don't know, but yeah, I do think he wanted to drive a race car. And I'm actually surprised he didn't win on this group date. So like so they get to the group date and first of all, Jenn coming out of that pink car was so cool. Very, very cool. And then I completely forgot like, oh yeah, this is Australia, so she wasn't driving.
Yeah. Which it actually, because for a
That
second
was
I was
like a
just like,
good
"What?" And then I was like, "Oh, yeah, I forget different countries."
yeah,
So,
Australia, right, yeah. But I thought it was cool that they had, like, those, like, whatever those were, like, the brick type of things that
Oh,
had, like, the
you mean
pink
like
powder
the
in
empty
them.
Amazon boxes that they filled with pink powder? Yeah, that was dope. That was
It was
good.
very cool. I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah," and I'm like, "Jen's gotta feel like the coolest person ever." And then, yeah, she takes off her helmet and her hair is go and I'm like, "Yeah, you're the coolest right now." Like,
Yeah.
that was, like, the best entrance maybe we've ever seen on The Bachelorette. I
It's
don't
pretty
know.
incredible.
It was pretty good. Yeah. And
Also,
then
you really see the personalities of people who come out here because the one guy,
yeah.
because they have to go to, like, driving school. Also, Aaron, here's why you're not winning, and also why I don't even know if you should be going to pilot school, dude, because you're the one guy in this group who knows how to drive a stick, and you still lost the challenge. How is that possible? Like, if you were
Ooh.
to put me in a manual transmission vehicle right now, and we're like, you literally gotta drive around this race car track,"
Mhm.
I'd be like, "Come get me in an hour after I stall out
Yeah,
37,000
that would be
times."
me too, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would
I would literally
definitely be
just
me.
burn the clutch completely out. It'd just be metal grinding on metal.
Yeah, my husband keeps saying he wants to teach me, but then I and then I'm like, but then he, like, picks the most random times, and then I'm also like, I just unless we're in, like, an emergency situation and,
Yeah.
like, you pass out and I've gotta, like, drive your car or something like that.
Also, he probably has the last stick like, you can't go with most, like, cars right now. Like, if I was like, "I need a Toyota Camry with a stick shift," I
Yeah,
would not be able to get one.
yeah.
You just can't get them anymore
His
unless you
whole
have, like, a
family
high-end
yeah.
car.
Well, yeah. His whole family, they, like, really like me well, not his whole family. It's mostly him and his sister. They really like driving, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
stick shift.
There's stick shift
So,
people out there.
yeah,
But
I don't
again,
know.
it's
I
like,
have no
what
desire.
No,
I
don't
just
learn
want
it.
my
That's
life
like
on easy mode. I don't
yeah.
care.
What's he
Yeah.
gonna teach you how to churn butter and thresh wheat and, like, ride
Well
a horse and buggy next? Come
those
on.
are things that I'd probably be better at than him.
Yeah, I
So,
was gonna say,
yeah.
actually, as since you're someone who, like, owns a loom, maybe you should learn how to drive a stick
Yeah.
shift.
Well, no, I think that's, like, too technical. I don't know. I would just rather spend my time doing other things. That is not interesting to me. I'd much rather churn butter.
Yeah,
So
that sounds
that's
delicious.
yeah, I mean, you can just put that stuff in a mason jar and throw it back and forth, and it's kind of a fun game. Anyway, so, yeah, so most of them do kind of okay, I guess. But I think Jeremy had the best, strategy of them all because he's like,
Oh,
"I'm not
yeah.
gonna win. I'm just gonna stop and kiss you." And I was like, "That's smart."
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is like, the weenie move earlier in the episode where, what's his face is like,
I'm not going to strip today so that I can
Thomas,
tell
yeah.
you that I think that I'm almost falling in love, maybe, kinda.
like, that weenie move.
Yeah.
Real move is, "I'm not gonna win this. I'm gonna slam on the brakes, make him think there's a medical emergency, and make out." Like,
Yeah.
beautiful. That is
Yeah.
masterful.
Or what he could do, here's another thing Thomas could have done. Thomas, I hope you're taking notes. He could have been like, I want to do this as like a private show for Jenn. So Jenn, can I steal you away? And then he wouldn't have had to do anything. Oh, sorry, not Thomas. Sam.
Oh, Sam. Yeah, yeah. Sam, not Tom.
Thomas
Sam N,
Thomas
not Thomas
Thomas
N.
did the nerdy Thomas did a nerdy routine. He
He
did a
did.
routine as a nerd. Sorry, Thomas. So
Yeah,
sorry. Sam
yeah.
N.
Sam
Salmon,
N.
not Thomas N. Um,
Salmon,
yeah,
like the fish.
right. Sam the Love Virgin should have pulled her like aside and then been like, okay, well, I'm not actually going to do a striptease for you, but I'm going to like bare my soul, but I want to do it, one on one so that it's like important to me and whatever. How much better would that have been? Anyway, I should just be like a bachelor coach because I could tell them how to do all the things that get them the good brownie points. I've watched the show long enough the entire time it's been on. So okay, so yeah, I thought that was a really good strategy. I feel like Hakeem, if he had some funny segments, I feel like they cut out in the actual episode. I was very confused.
Yeah. He's like
We
the
missed
way that
out
they
on the
frame him
JPJ moments with him.
every single time they show him, he's like Roger Rabbit in anxiety mode. Like
Yeah, but I thought it
trying to
was
drive
kind
the
of
car, he's like, ah, or he's like, he's got the spider on him,
yeah.
ah, or he doesn't know if he's gonna get a rose at the end of the story, ah, like that's his whole thing.
Yeah, but I just feel like they didn't do it enough. I don't know. I was like
Yeah.
looking forward to like funny Hakeem moments, and then it was kind of like, okay, you didn't show me anything new. I don't know. I
Yeah.
wasn't that excited about it. So
I
that
I
was
do like just
whatever.
as a contrast, like here is a
Yeah.
man surrounded by super buff, confident dudes, and he's just like, my heart's going to explode. I'm so nervous. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I like him, but yeah, I just feel like they didn't show him enough on this, and then we
yeah.
don't get a chance to. I think
It's
he's gonna
okay.
be great on Paradise.
He was
He's
meant for
gotta
paradise.
be on Paradise. There's no
Oh,
way he's not gonna be on
I
Paradise.
said this last episode. I
Yeah.
will say it again. The man was built for paradise.
Yeah, and he's gonna, like, walk out with a really good relationship too.
Probably.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
gonna be great. Yeah, anyway, I'm rooting for you, Hakeem, but this was not your episode. Um,
No.
so yeah, so then Austin won by 3 seconds. So he showed up, Aaron. I have to say, that's not, like, that much like, Aaron still did okay, but
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I was actually kind of surprised that Austin won because it seemed like he had 0 experience, but then he just, like, really
Yeah.
committed. So
He's
good for
he's
him.
just he's a quick learner. I guess that's a good skill. He seems relatively nice and maybe normal despite his bad haircut. He's
Yeah,
got
I
the
can't
haircut
get
of like
over his
a
haircut.
1980s professional wrestler in Alabama. Like
It's
he's
just not working for me. Yeah.
it's not working for anyone.
He seems nice. Yeah, I don't know. I still like Jeremy. I mean, I'm not like again, he's fine. I'm not like super excited about him, but he seems fine and he's like he was very smart. Like his play was very smart. But yeah, so Aaron gets some one-on-one time with Jenn after this and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a risk taker, but I'm also close with my family and it's really good to be with you." And he's basically like, "Well, I'm gonna wait and see if I get the group date rose to decide if I stay or go because now I feel like we got closer." And I'm like, I mean, maybe if it was like getting close to hometowns, I could see
Mhm.
you being like weighing it, but you don't stand a chance. So I don't really, but whatever. Um, so then, okay, then Jeremy has some time with Jen. He talks about feeling comfortable with her. I do feel like they have a very cozy dynamic that's nice. And again, he seems nice, normal, good, fine.
Yeah.
Focus on guys like that. Stop. You've got at least 4 of them that are like very stable and normal.
Yeah. Which is
Just
what a
you've got Jeremy, you've got Spencer, you've got Jonathan, you've got Dylan. I think they're all like good choices. Don't focus on these men who are just like getting into petty arguments with one another. It's just they're exhausting and they're going to be like weird jealous like ugh, don't. Anyway, then Hakeem has like a very sweet moment. And this is why I mean, I think it was a good Paradise audition. Because we finally get like a little bit more of his like backstory, and he's like, I just really like want you to feel safe around me. Like I came from a toxic family dynamic and like I don't want to perpetuate that. And Jen identifies with that because she came from that too. And they just really connected on that. And I think that's enough. That's like enough of an intro to get him on Paradise besides like him just being good comic relief and like he'll be good there. Um she talks to Austin. I don't really have a lot of notes for this except that like her lipstick was kind of smeared off by the time she talked to Austin and I was like, "Makeup, get in there."
no,
I was just like, "Okay." She was just like, "Oh, okay." So anyway,
which is funny too, because when makeup's not touching it up, like that's
yeah.
got to be basically most of her on camera time, right?
Yeah.
Like just makeup smudged everywhere from just constant making out with people.
Smooching. Yeah, I was just like it was just really obvious for some reason in this scene and I was just like All her lipstick got kissed off. So and then I was like, okay, I'm sure Jeremy's gonna get the rose because who else is gonna get it? And then he got it. And then we get to the cocktail party, and of course Aaron ducks out at this point because like if he didn't, yeah, I would just be like, "Well, you're even faker than I thought." You know what I mean? Like, if he was like, "Well, I'm gonna stay," then I'd be like, "Then either this your lifelong dream isn't that important to you and that kinda sucks, or, like, the call isn't real or something." You know what I mean? I would just be like, "That's at least I can have some respect for you for leaving." But here's the thing that's wild, and this is another reason. Yeah, industry plant, production plant. Because before he leaves, he goes, well, some of the men here aren't like being straight with you, you know, whatever. And she and cuz what was it? Cuz she was like, you think they're here for the wrong reasons, or what were the two options she gave? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, or they're not ready yet.
Yeah, oh yeah, are they
Which
not
is the
ready yet?
other ism they
Yeah.
like, this is the thing that they always use in the show. It's like,
So
"So
it's
and
like,
so's
yeah,
not
are
ready
they
to
not
love."
ready yet, or are they here for the wrong reasons? And he's like, well, both.
He doesn't know because yeah, and then he says both because the answer is he just said that. I hate this
He's
because
making it up. He's
he's
making it
totally
up.
making it up. I
Yeah,
mean, and
he's
he's not
so full
wrong,
of
like,
shit.
there are trash
Sure.
people here, but instead of, like, being specific if he thinks that's important, like, he's trying to do this as, like a bro move or something, but this would be like your doctor comes to you, he's like, "Well, unfortunately, I'm retiring, but, you know, we'll make sure we get you, you know, in with a new general practitioner, blah, blah, blah," and then he's walking out the door, he goes, "By the way, I think you might have cancer." Like, what?
Yeah.
You can't
Okay.
do that and then walk into the sunset?
Yeah, there's okay, so this is like a whatever. I don't know what this article or what this newspaper is or publication is. It's probably crap, but whatever. I'm looking at something called the Daily Express, but the headline is exactly what we thought. Bachelorette's Aaron proves he was producer plant after stirring up drama.
Mhm.
You know, because it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like the fake book, you know, like the things that he was stirring up, like then this on the way out. It's just
Yeah.
like there's nothing about you that's authentic except for you're probably are going to this flight training. I believe that actually. Um, but it's just like, yeah, it's just yeah. Anyway, so he said, okay, let me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see
If
if
he's
there's
not
any.
doing some like Top Gun Maverick shit in the next 6 months, I don't
Yeah.
believe him. He better take a selfie from inside an F-16.
Yeah, and Jen even said, "I missed this part for some reason. I don't know what I was doing." She said that she felt it was a disingenuous conversation, and it was cruel that Aaron didn't tell her who specifically he thought had bad intentions. But this was really interesting. So she comes out of that, even though it was kind of, you know, whatever. Um, uh, then she comes out and she's just like, "Listen, Aaron just said, you know, some people are here for the wrong reasons, and some people aren't ready. And I'm gonna find out who I'm gonna talk to. Every single one of you, Marcus, come with me." And then I'm like, "Oh my god, that would make me poop myself." And then she talked to Marcus, and she was like, Marcus, did that scare you when I pulled you back and asked you like to talk to me?" And he was like, "That put the fear of God in me. I did not like that one bit." You know, and I was like, that's I think the way that you should react. But then she talks to Sam and asks about like, were you, you know, were you scared about that? And he was like, not really. So I'm going to reiterate this in case something is weird in this recording. But basically, we froze. So Jen said, listen, everybody, I know some of you are not here for the right reasons, and I'm going to find out who. Marcus, come with me. And then she asks him, like, oh, hey, Marcus, like, were you scared when I said that? And he was like, yeah, that put the fear of God in me. I did not like that one bit. And I was like, that actually kind of endeared me to Marcus. I got to be honest. He was like, yeah, that was like really scary. I did not like, he's like, even though, because like this is me, you know, because he was like, even though I know I didn't do anything wrong, I was still scared. And I'm like, that's just me going through customs every time. I'm like, what if I accidentally forgot that I have a bunch of illegal shit, even though I don't do anything like that, you know? And I was just, I'm like, oh, yeah, But maybe I'm also bad. Yeah, yeah. So, like, I totally get that. I'm like, I that is the energy that I, identify with Marcus 100%. I was like, I felt like I was in trouble, and I was just watching the show. I was like, "I'm sorry. I don't think I'm here for the right reasons, Jen. I'll go." Um, but that's, like, the difference. Yeah, yeah, exactly, and she's like, "No, go. You're just as bad as what's his name? Brendan, what's his name?" Anyway, don't talk about it on the show, that's not allowed. So, yeah, that was fun, and then but then she talked to Sam, and she said, like, Chet Hanks, and she goes, "Were you scared?" And he was like, "No." 'Cause I knew it wasn't about me, and I'm like, "That's the wrong answer. That's the wrong answer." Marcus gave the right answer and was like, "Yeah, I was scared, like, I didn't think I did anything wrong, but then I was like, 'Did I do something wrong?'" And I was like, "That's the right answer, 100%." And then Sam was like, "I'm not worried at all, cause like, I know I'm perfect." And I was like, "Ew, ew." Ugh, he's so gross. He's so gross. Like, he's one of those men who's like, "I was written by a woman," and every woman is like, "No, you were not. No, you were not. I didn't write you. You better stop." Um, so, yeah, so that was interesting. So, those were kind of my biggest takeaways from, like, that whole thing, and she's probably gonna keep trying to pin it down. If there is, I mean, I don't think he was speaking about anybody specifically. I do think he was a producer plant. Yeah, I think he's full of shit. But yeah, the biggest thing about the rose ceremony is that Hakeem goes home and then some other guy, and I forgot his name. Was that the other Thomas? Was that him that got sent home? What was his name? Who went home? Yeah, right. Other Thomas, right? Yeah. I was right. I was literally like, "Who is that guy?" Yeah, I looked at him and I went, "Who is that guy? I don't remember him." And then but then I was like, "Oh, Hakeem's going home, that's sad. Don't know that other guy." And but we're just about to get to the week. Next week will be the week where we know everybody who goes home. But we are still in that week where it's like, "Oh, sorry to you. I'm sorry to you, sir, whoever you are." I'm sure you're nice or whatever, but couldn't be bothered to learn your name. Um, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think the Love Virgin is just here because producers want him here for a little bit more. I don't think that Jen is all that interested in him being here. But he's here. He's here. Yeah, so, what are any predictions for next week based on, like, the trailer? Anything you're thinking might happen? Yeah, come back. Yeah. I'm on break from training. I don't think so. I don't know. He's 29. Okay. Oh my god. I'm just glad that we all dislike him because, I wanted to dislike him just because he was Noah's brother, and now I have real reasons. Yeah, it's the best. I mean, I'm not gonna doubt that part necessarily. Could be, but who knows? Who knows? You know? Who knows? I also just spent so the 2 things I'm trying to finish Misery finally. I've been, like, reading a lot. So I'm trying to finish Misery finally. So I was like that was, like, the physical book I brought, and then I listened to an audiobook, just whatever it's called, Just for the Summer. And then, I've also been reading some nonfiction stuff, but that's boring. You don't care about that. But I one of the things I listened to at the beginning of my trip was like an 8-part podcast called Scamanda. I don't think I talked about it last week because I think I started listening to it after. Yeah, I think I started listening to it while I was on the road. But it's all about this. See, you're getting so many bonuses this week. Aren't you lucky? This is what happens when I go on a trip and then my brain refreshes and then it just gets filled with all this interesting stuff. So it's about this woman who like pretended to have cancer like 6 times. I don't even know, like a ton of times. It was like, I have cancer and it's stage 4. And then we'd be like, I'm in remission. It's a miracle. And it's like amazing. And then she'd be like, I have cancer again. And it's terminal this time. I'm in remission again. And you're like, how many times? You can't do that many times. That's like not how, it's not how your body works. Yeah. That's not how cancer works. I don't know what you're doing. Yeah. At one point she said at one point she said, that her she was having a baby and that reversed the cancer. Never heard of that. Never heard of that. Yeah. And she was like she was like taking selfies at like hospitals and stuff in front of oncology centers and stuff. But then there were people who did like cross-referencing with like the scrubs she had on and the hospital she said she was in, and they would call and they would say, "Do you have this color scrubs?" And they'd say no, and like all kind I mean, it's totally wild stuff. But it was like this whole performance and she was doing it for a really long time. I mean, there are accounts that she was doing it like back in college even, and like and this was like into adulthood. This was at least like a decade or more of like scams and whatever. And she made up like all this stuff, like, things that she did, things she had, whatever. So what I'm saying is, people like that exist. People like that exist, and there's a wide array, a wide spectrum of things people can lie about. And, I'm the kind of person, and you know this about who's honest to a fault. And even I just go, well, I can't tell you everything about me and what I do because it'll sound like I'm lying if I say it all. So like I'm very sensitive to that. I'm like, I'm not going to share all the things that I do because it just sounds like I'm making it up if I share everything. But there are people who just straight make up their whole lives. Everything is completely manufactured. So, you know, where's the line with Aaron? We just don't know. We just don't know. Yeah. The book is definitely fake. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, stolen valor? Stolen valor? Yeah. No, just kidding. No, I believe that part. I believe that part. I don't believe the book. Yeah, that would be pretty wild. Um Oh, yeah, so he had a post that says, "For the wow, the show is so scripted crowd. Phase 1 of the plan is in motion, introducing for the first time 2nd Lieutenant Herb. Next stop, Air Force pilot training." Um, I mean, it's whatever. Oh, yeah, and then yeah, but someone said in the comments, Dr. Brandon O'Connor, which was the name of that fake author. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and then someone said, "Oh, I thought I recognized Maxwell in a previous post, but just wondering why you referred to OTS as fighter pilot training on the show. You haven't even completed UPT yet. Will you be at SPS?" I don't know any of those acronyms, but I'm Jessica Scott is coming for you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then someone said, "So he's confirming it's scripted and he was a plant all along." Well, I'm done with this season. Congratulations on the next step of your career. Oh, the one Aaron fan is done watching the show. Oh my god. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's interesting. I was impressed by you handling yourself with Jen. I don't know what that means. You're gonna make a great pilot. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I don't doubt that part. I just doubt like everything else. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Someone said air adventures, and I feel like it's fun to say things like air ventures. Come on now. Anyway, so that's all I got. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's gonna happen in the weeks to come. I have a feeling that Devin is gonna stick around. I don't think he's going anywhere. Um, I think I don't think Sam's gonna go anywhere either, though. So I just think it's gonna be a really tense season. Yeah. Hometowns. Mhm. A Devin Sam hometown would be I love it. I dread 2-on-1s most of the time, like, I don't like watching them most of the time. I'd watch the shit out of that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's a win-lose all around. Well, you know what? And until next time, friends, you can find us. If you found us here, you found us somewhere. But just so all the places you can find us, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us at popculturediner.com. You can find us by searching Pop Culture Diner. I know that's confusing, but Roast Play Special is actually like a segment of Pop Culture Diner that just became very huge. Maybe we'll change the name someday. Maybe I'm just lazy. Okay. Maybe I have other concepts of things that I want to cover in the near future, so I'm saving it for now. Yeah, maybe Dr. Brandon O'Connor told me to keep the name the way it is. Yeah, you can also find us on you can also find us on TikTok at Pop Culture Diner, and maybe I'll get an Instagram soon. And uh someone is probably listening to this and going, "Sammy, you need to get an Instagram." And I know we're working on it. We're gonna get an Instagram next. But those are the places that you can find us because I'm really bad about plugging the show. So make sure you do those things. And if you did not get to like some kind of fair yet, what are you even doing? It's summer. Okay, get outside, eat something on a stick, but wear sunscreen. Right, well, it's the time of year that you should eat things on sticks. I was thinking, like potatoes, something fried, not like a grub. Yeah, like those spiral ones, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. Yep, okay.